All right, once again, trial number 2. Welcome back, everybody, to QuattroQuattroDos. I actually had started, but I had to stop and regroup because I had left my washer going on in the background. So, I didn't notice till I started making a lot of noise. So, I had to stop everything, washing some clothes and stuff for tomorrow. Because tomorrow I have a big day. I'm getting a promotion at work. So, I need to, I guess if you guys care, I'm getting a promotion, so I'm washing my better clothes so I can look presentable for tomorrow. But yeah, let's welcome back another episode of QuattroQuattroDos. Once again, this is your boy Cristian, and I'm gonna be talking about some soccer stuff, and hopefully you guys find it interesting, and if not, then maybe next week tune back and hopefully you guys enjoy that then. But let me give you the social media. Social media for the podcast is QuattroQuattroDos on Instagram, QuattroQuattroDos on Instagram, and then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Crisputallaz, which is CRISPUTALLAZ. And if you stay kind of tuned, later on I'm gonna actually be talking about my last name. I know some of you kind of maybe find it funny or not, but it's a funny last name to have. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I always say the same thing. It's not gonna be much, and then I end up talking for like 45 minutes. But let's go ahead and just get started and talk about some stuff. There's some stuff that I want to talk about, and some stuff that just made the news because of who the person was, or I guess you'll see who I'm talking about. But let's talk about Iceland. So Iceland, we didn't know much about them in the soccer sense. It's a little country in Europe. Usually doesn't qualify for much stuff. But actually, this past World Cup for Russia, they made it to the World Cup, and actually, a lot of people were cheering for them just because of the fact that they were a small country, and they actually had a pretty good World Cup. I think they made it to the second round, the knockout stage. I think they made it to there. So everybody was excited to see what Iceland had to bring to the table. So I think everybody kind of fell in love with Iceland a little bit because obviously they were the underdog and stuff like that. But if you guys haven't seen, I actually posted on the QuattroQuattroDos Instagram, but Iceland has come out, or they have rebranded the soccer federation, but not like the federation itself, but the actual logo that they carry on their jerseys. And it's pretty cool coming from a guy that kind of enjoys art and stuff like that. And also I am a nerd, so I enjoy history, and I enjoy mythology and stuff like that. So whenever I saw the logo, if you don't know what I'm talking about, stop this right now, head over to Instagram, head over to the QuattroQuattroDos Instagram, and it's gonna be one of the latest pictures. There is a blue photo, basically a blue background with a white logo. It looks like 4 different faces. Sorry, there's a little bug flying around. But the cool thing about it is it involved mythology, which I mentioned, I kind of like. And it had basically, it was 4 different, not animals, but because one of them is a man, and then the other one's a dragon. So it had basically the face of the giant. So basically, in Icelandic mythology, they have 4 protectors of the land, which is the giant, the bull, the eagle, and the dragon. And somehow some smart cookie over there was able to combine those 4 elements and put them together in one logo in a sense. So it looks really cool, because if you have seen the flag of Iceland, it's like a star. How most countries, or not most countries, but most northern, what do you call them? England, Scotland, Ireland, not Ireland, Denmark, and they have the cross just with different colors. And so Iceland kind of has that cross too. I think it's the cross of St. Thomas, if I'm not mistaken. I might be completely way off. But so yeah, it's just a cool design. You know, it looks like a little cross, but it has like the 4 faces, and also, you know, plays around with the country's, you know, mythology and culture and history and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. You know, if you're like I put on the post, if you're a lover of, like, you know, graphic design, you know, symmetry and like art and mythology and like perfection, because it looks almost perfect. It looks like very like mirror-like figure. You would probably like it too. So yeah, just, you know, shout outs to the Icelandic people out there with their new badass logo out there. Another thing that it's kind of big news just because of who it is. Maybe if it was somebody else, we probably would never care. But we're talking about Messi. So Messi, lately, like in the last few years, has been having a lot of trouble when it comes to, like, well, I mean, obviously, I don't know because I'm not there, but like, I guess I would have to talk to Victor from the Houston Coolest. Seems like he doesn't get along since like Pep Guardiola, Xavi, Iniesta, and like that whole group of people kind of like went out in a sense. I think probably now Messi seems to be like very friends with like Luis Suarez, but like, you know, it just comes to a time that, you know, like, you know, times change and people move on and stuff like that. And it seems like we are at a point in history, I guess, that Messi seems like to have come to a point where he kind of wants to move on from Barcelona, which is like giant news because it comes from a player that has played basically his whole career for one team. You know, you don't see that often. You see that maybe with like Totti and with Roma, you know, in Italy. But other than that, like, you don't really see a player literally from beginning to end of a soccer career, and especially being such a great player, you know, obviously debatably one of the greatest out there to ever play the game, to stay in one team. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo, I guess you could argue that, you know, he's probably also one of the great, I mean, he is one of the greatest, but, you know, some people like to say that, you know, he is greater than Messi just because he was able to go to the Premier League and win. He was able to go to La Liga and win. He was able to go to Serie A and win. So he was able to like branch out, you know. He wasn't stuck to one team. But Messi, on the other hand, obviously he has won everything with Barcelona. And now it kind of has come to a point that it seems like he's, you know, calling it quits. So, you know, I guess we would have to see how it plays out here in the next couple of years. I think he has contract till 2021. But it's going to be interesting to see, because if he does decide to leave, where does he go? So a lot of people have been playing around with the thought of like having Messi, Ronaldo, and Pep Guardiola as a coach in Juventus. Some people have said Manchester City. You know, they always tie him with Agüero. You know, their friendship goes back to like, you know, U15, U17 playing for Argentina. So it's going to be interesting to see if Messi decides to make a move, where he's going to move. Is he going to go to the Premier League? Is he going to go to Serie A? Because I doubt he's going to stay in La Liga, you know. But it's going to be interesting. Obviously, I keep repeating it, but, you know, it is Messi. It is like a giant name in the world of soccer. And it's going to be a giant number for the team that wants to like have them, you know, in his ranks and stuff. So we're just going to have to like wait and see how it plays out. And see if he's going to honor the colors and stay forever, or, you know, just call it quits and kind of move on and try to win somewhere, you know, something somewhere else. And who knows, maybe he comes to the MLS, which, you know, I guess we can only dream, but, you know, it's doubtable that he'll come over here. But let's just move on to the next subject, and let's dream of a possible Messi move to the MLS. And also, here's a question for you guys. Let's just say Messi comes to the MLS. Where do you think he would fit the best? I mean, obviously, people are going to say, you know, the typical LA Galaxy, maybe Atlanta United. But do you think in your, well, I mean, if you're listening and if you watch the MLS, what country or what team would you put him in? Who would you pair him with? I don't know. Let's play around with that thought. I think it would be fun. So if you want to leave it in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube, leave it in the comments. Who would you like? Where would you put Messi, and who would you like him to play with? Next up, there's a new ball for like the next year or like the next season of the Premier League, which looks very interesting. It's kind of weird, kind of old school in a sense, but it is weird because it doesn't look like a soccer ball. It looks more like a volleyball, like a beach volleyball, because it has like a bunch of holes. I'm gonna go ahead and post a picture on that one for you guys on Monday or Tuesday. Don't quote me on that one, but I'm gonna try to find a picture for it, and I'm gonna put it up so you guys can see it. But the first thought that came to my head when I saw this ball was that somebody's gonna get hit. You know, like when you're younger and you like get hit by a ball and like you lift your shirt or your leg and like you have the little squares of the ball and stuff. So it's gonna be funny whenever somebody gets hit and they have like the empty lines in like their arm or like their body. It's gonna be funny, but you know, nothing too crazy. But it's just like a different style of ball, I guess. You know how things change, but and talking about things changing, I'm actually gonna tell you something I watched earlier today, so you guys can go watch it. It was very, very interesting, but I'm gonna leave that for the end. Another news, or I guess kind of going with the whole new ball, new kits, is that Chelsea, obviously, if you haven't seen them play, they kind of came out with a new kit with a new sponsor. And then also it seems like Borussia Dortmund is coming out with like a Pikachu style. You know, shout out to Foxtrot. Foxtrot? Is that what you call yourself? I think, you know, his name is Andres, but if you follow him on Twitter, Foxtrot, he's a very, very cool follow. He always gets the news first. I'll probably have him on the podcast soon, hopefully. I'm actually trying to get a bunch of people on the podcast to like have conversations with, and he's actually on my list. So if you're listening, Foxtrot, I'm coming for you, bro. I'll send you a message soon so we can talk about some Dynamo stuff. But it's funny because I saw his tweet, and he had like retweeted the picture of the jersey for Borussia, and yeah, you are completely right. It looks like a freaking Pikachu rolled all over a jersey. But it's pretty, I mean, you know, I guess nowadays you kind of have to play around with some styles. Shoot, look at the Dynamo stuff. You know, it's very different. It's very, can be tough to get accustomed in the beginning, but I think, you know, as you start seeing it more and more, I think people would get into it a little bit more. So it's different, but, you know, you got to get used to stuff. But yeah, those are news, I guess. There hasn't been much going on. I mean, everybody, of course, playing in the Premier League, also fighting. The Wolves lost earlier this week, so that kind of gave way for Manchester United to get ahead a couple points. But that fight, the Premier League fight for those Champions League spots, is getting crazy. So if you're not following the Premier League, I suggest you watch it. Even though we have a champion, you know, we're trying to see who's going to get those Champions League spots. So it's going to be interesting. Also, La Liga is very interesting. It seems like Real Madrid is actually gaining more space between them and Barcelona. So with a few games left, it kind of, little by little, we start seeing how Real Madrid is kind of picking up those points here and there. But also with a lot of controversy. You know that word. So it seems like they're getting a lot of penalties that don't seem to be penalties. Honestly, I didn't watch it this last game. I usually tend to watch the highlights for those games. But a lot of people have been talking about how Real Madrid has been getting helped from VAR, from the refs, from the league. So, you know, let's see what Juan has to say from Peña Madridistas here in Houston. If you're listening, Juan, let me know. What do you think as a Real Madrid fan? Do you think the league is helping you out? Do you think the refs are helping you out? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the, you know, tweet at me or something like that. Let me know what you think. And then another thing that is going on in my life. So this week, I don't know if Well, obviously you guys don't keep up with my life, but I keep up with my life because it's my life, of course. But I actually found a new team to follow myself, so I wanted to share that with everybody. Unfortunately, they suck right now. So me and my dad, we were chatting earlier in the week. We were chatting about our last name, because our last name is kind of, if you're a Spanish speaker, it kind of, it's kind of funny. It's Putalias or Putayas or Putalias, whatever you want to call it, which is Putallaz. So it's, it's very strange because it has that little word in the beginning. But technically, not technically, but my last name is not Spanish. It's not from Spain. It's not French. Well, it might be French, but we actually were able to track down using the powerful Google, or kind of like our family line in a way. So I'm, like I said, like you might hear me say, I'm originally from Argentina, born and raised. Well, I guess born and half raised because I came to the U.S. when I was 8. So we were kind of digging here, names and that and stuff. And then we came across a family tree that somebody had started for my family. And we were kind of able to trace down our family all the way down to the 1700s, to 1771, where a dude in Vitros, in the state of Wallis in Switzerland, which is southwest Switzerland, in the Valley of Rhodes, where actually there's a city called Sion, S-I-O-N. Ooh, I can't spell or talk. So they actually have a team. So there's a league in Switzerland, the Swiss Super League, that consists of 10 teams. And FC Sion, that I've been following for like the past 2-3 games, they're terrible, unfortunately, but they are second to last place. The good thing about the Swiss league, that only the last team actually gets relegated to the second division, which is, I think, is the Swiss Championship League or something like that. And the second to last team actually gets to play that relegation playoff spot, or game, sorry. So I'm over here cheering for the Swiss FC Sion side, just because of family. My family was literally, or I guess it kind of began in that valley, and it's literally that little town where these people came from, that then migrated to Argentina. It's literally like 3 to 5 miles away from the big city. So FC Sion, you guys have a new fan, hit me up, send me a jersey, I don't know, whatever you want. I'll take gifts. But yeah, FC Sion in the Swiss league, terrible team. But actually, I was looking around and I've been watching YouTube videos, like literally all week. I've been watching YouTube videos of the Swiss league, and they have a lot of crazy fans. Like they have FC Zurich, I think it's called Grasshopper FC or something like that, and then they have the Young Boys, and they're actually teams that actually obviously the first team that wins the league, they actually play a Champions League playoff game to be able to make it into the playoff. So it's gonna be interesting to see if I keep following, if maybe a Swiss team can make it up to the Champions League. It's gonna be interesting. But yeah, enough of my history. Let's move on. Let's kind of switch gears here for a little bit and move on to some of Houston soccer. Let's move on to the Dash, and then we'll talk about the Dynamo towards the end. So the Dash has been, I guess we can say, killing it over there in Utah. That's not a very country, Utah. So the first game they played, they actually played the locals. They played the home team, the Utah Royals. They tied 3-3. We were playing a really good game, 3-1 we were up, and then some terrible mistakes that kind of landed us for them to tie the game at 3-3 towards the end of the game, like in the last 10-15 minutes, looking like a Dynamo team, like looking like a Houston team, if I may add, kind of taking the foot off the gas towards those 10-15 minutes. But unfortunately, or not fortunately for everybody, they played the OL Reign this past weekend on Saturday, and they actually whooped. Whooped is a loosely term for a 2-0 win, which actually I think we dominated most of the game. We had better passing, better attacking, better pressing. Rachel Daly, you're a freaking beast. So if you're listening, come on the podcast. But yeah, you very great player, very good number 9, very literally fights every ball. Wins most 9 out of 10 balls. She's winning them. She's putting passes. If you guys haven't seen Dustin from Dynamo Theory, he actually did this really cool thing on Dynamo Theory. DynamoTheory.com. You can find it on their Twitter. It's called Anatomy of a Goal. That he kind of breaks down the goal and how everybody kind of make the runs, and it's a pretty cool thing. You guys should go check it out. And basically, he breaks down the second goal and how I forget your name. Preslock, the right back. I'm kind of getting used to the Houston Dash. I promise next week I'll have some names. But I can see her name, but I just can't pronounce it. Preslock. She won the ball, I believe, in towards the middle of the field, if I might be mistaken. But somebody won it on the right side of the field, so I'm guessing it's her because she plays that in that position. And then Daly made a run. No, so they passed it to the middle, and then Daly made a run on the line. She got the ball. She went down the line, kind of came in through the side of the box, and then Mewis by herself, dumped the ball in the box straight into her head. She jumped really, really high. I was very surprised to see how high she jumped. And then it was an easy goal. Obviously, she celebrated doing the low plane. So now everybody's doing Air Mewis or whatever. However you pronounce the name, I apologize again. But yeah, it was a really good victory for the Dash. Very world-class victory for the Dash. And actually, I've been watching on Twitter. I came across a tweet. I can't remember who tweeted it. But basically, it was saying how the, shout out, basically it was shouting out all the Dash fans that have been supporting the Dash since 2014. Because, we all know that the Dash have never made it to the playoffs, even though the league is so small, and most of the teams make it to the playoffs. The Dash unfortunately have never been good enough to make it into the playoffs. But they were saying, basically how the Dash nowadays, in this tournament, they're basically showing that they are a force to be reckoned with. They are playing great soccer. They are moving the ball very well. Everybody's fighting. The names that were brought in are, basically, giving their effort. They were brought in for a reason, and they're fighting for it. Megan Oyster in the back, she's been a force. Rachel Daly, she's fighting every ball, up there. And basically, all the ladies that were brought in, they're doing their part, and they're turning out to be like a championship team. It's only the second game, and I understand that we have to play the North Carolinas, the Orlando Prides, the Portland Thorns are the next game. So it's gonna be interesting to see how we do with the stronger teams per se. But I mean, OL Reign was supposed to be one of the strong teams too. So and we beat them 2-0, playing really good soccer. So it's gonna be interesting to see how we go against the Portland Thorns. If I'm not mistaken, they play Wednesday at night at 9 o'clock. But just follow the page. You'll see all the information there. I'll post it up there. But yeah, so shout out to the Dash. Bring home the cup. You guys are playing really good soccer. So just keep doing your thing, keep scoring goals, and let's keep doing this thing. Bring this cup back home. Switching gears into the Dynamo, there was a little things that's going on over there. So Vela from LAFC is out. Well, technically we don't know yet, But we know that his wife is about to have a baby, so there's a possibility that actually he stays home and not fly to Orlando, especially with all this outbreak that is going on with FC Dallas, with Columbus Crew, and a couple of other teams. And then Dos Santos is not going for LAFC. Like, he has a hamstring issue, I believe. So obviously he's not going to be out there because, there's no reason for him to go because obviously he's injured. So that kind of gives, it doesn't give Houston a plus or anything like that, because obviously those teams still have more quality players that, could actually play really good for those teams and can cover those players. But, it kind of gives you, I guess, I don't know. How would I put it? Just to see, those are really good players, and there are difference making. They make a difference. There you go. They are players that make a difference. So when you see like a Vela that it was MVP, scoring like 30 plus goals in last year, Golden Boot and all this, not having them is going to be a big, pain for LAFC. So it's going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how they play out. The first game is actually going to be against LAFC, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then I wanted to talk about Jürgen Damm. Not very important. I don't know the guy. I've never seen him play, but he's supposed to be okay. I think everybody kind of knows that situation with the thing. But basically, what I want to talk about him is that those TikToks, Jesus Christ, those are very cringe-worthy. I'm not a TikToker myself, so I wouldn't know. But when I saw the little dance that he did when he was showing, that he was going to Atlanta United, I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, you should stick to soccer. But I'm not trying to be a hater or anything, but it is what it is. You should dedicate yourself to the sport, bro. Leave the TikTok aside. And then to close it off, lately, or this past few days, there has been talk about Ellis. Possibly, there was an article in the Scottish, the Sun, the newspaper from Scotland, and it was talking about how Celtic has been having a lot of interest on Ellis. And if we all know, Ellis, his contract ends at the end of the year, so therefore in 2021 he actually gets to walk away for free. But not for free, but the Dynamo won't make any money out of him, basically. And then the new transfer window is coming up. It could be his chance to move, but basically the Dynamo have a dilemma because they haven't dropped anything yet, but they basically presented him with basically the biggest contract in the Dynamo history, which is probably $7-8 million. But also, if they don't sell him now, they can't make any money out of him at the end of the year. I don't know if that if I'm being if I'm explaining it correctly, but basically, my thought is what will hold Ellis back from going to Celtic. Basically, Celtic is first place in the Scottish League by 15 points now, with 2 games remaining. Obviously, they're winning the league. They're going straight to the Champions League. So imagine you are in the position of Ellis. You want to go to play to Europe. You're being talked about by Celtic, the best team in Scotland, which, give or take, Scottish League is not the greatest out there, but Celtic is a name that always has been great. Rich history, rich name, great players have come out of there. And is a giant leap, or is a giant trampoline, I guess, in a way, that you can take to make it into the to the Manchester Uniteds, to the Manchester Cities, to the Liverpools, and all stuff like that, or to the other leagues. So I really don't see why Ellis would say no to Celtic, even if it was not as much money as the Dynamo would give him. Me personally, if I was Ellis, I would take 2 million less to get a Celtic. Like, I wouldn't care about the money. I would care about the opportunity that it brings, that I could possibly be a Champions League player, play for one of the greatest teams out there with rich ass history. And then on the other hand, you have the Dynamo, who, you know, I'm not bashing on my team because I am a fan of them, but, you know, think about it. You have the Dynamo that, unfortunately, we have owners that kind of don't want to drop the cash. And I mean, obviously they're going to drop it for him, but, you know, is the Dynamo a championship caliber team? I think, you know, some people argue we are, some people argue we don't. Obviously, I think we have made some changes to make it there, but I think we're missing some key pieces to make it a championship team. But I think this tournament, the MLS Backus tournament, is going to be a great decider in if he leaves or stays. I think if the Dynamo do good, he might stay, but then at the same time, you have to understand that there's a whole world of possibilities out there waiting for him in Europe. I know there's a couple of teams from Turkey that wanted him too. And also, the Turkish league is not the great league, but it's a step closer to the European leagues. But, you know, I think we're going to have to wait and see what the MLS is back tournament turns out for the Houston Dynamo, how good they do. And if they do good, maybe they could even raise the price on him and sell it for a little bit more money. But then you also have to see there was a pandemic. A lot of money has been, you know, slowed down. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. But if I'm Ellis, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to Europe. So basically that. So a lot of these stuff, we're just waiting and seeing how it turns out, and it is what it is. And then to close it off, to finish everything off, for sure, I just wanted to recommend a video that I saw today. It was from Tifo Football, Tifo Football on YouTube. And they actually showed, it was about the story or like the history of the numbers on the jerseys. And it was very interesting. I actually learned a lot because me as an Argentinian, it actually talked about that too, which I had no idea. But Argentina had because like whenever I see like a team of 11, in my head I picture 4 right back, 4 right back, 2 and 6 are center backs, and then 3 is a left back, and then you have the 5, 11 on the left, or 7 or 11, they usually play wingers, and then you have your 10, your key player, your player maker, and then your number 9. So basically from 1 to 11, you have all your players and they'll have positions. And it was very cool because the numbers actually didn't start to like the 1920. Back in the day, they just played with like, you know, same color jerseys. Like the numbers didn't matter. And it was cool to see because in the 50s, also it was talking about some history of how, like for example, players were like, okay, I wear number 7, I have to mark number 3. Number 3 has to mark number 7. And that was like the whole point. You would just mark a number. But then it came to like some sneaky, you know, at that time, some sneaky coach. There was like, hey, let's switch jerseys. So like literally at halftime, he would make his players switch jerseys to throw off the opposing players, because they'd be like, wait, I'm supposed to be marking 7, playing on the left side, but now he's on the right side. Like, what the hell? And it was just pretty cool. So if you want to learn more about history and the history of soccer, go ahead and go to Tifo Football. They have really good content when it comes to soccer, and I love history and I love soccer. So what better way than to combine those both? So saying that, let's go ahead and close this down. Once again, I am Cristian. You can find me under Cris Putalaz, CRISPUTALLAZ. And you can find QuattroQuattroDos under QUATTRODOS. And don't forget, we have a YouTube channel where we post these videos, these episodes. Please, if you are kind enough, subscribe to it. I'm trying to get to 100. I am not anywhere close to 100. So please help me get to 100 subscribers just so I can get my little domain name on, as I can say, YouTube/QuattroQuattroDos. That would be like a great accomplishment for me. So if you can help me out, that'd be great. And then also, leave in the comments. Tell me what, if there's anything you would like for me to talk about, or something that you're interested about, or something that you think will make the show better. And I'm working on more ideas, working on more stuff to do, more interviews. Don't forget to check out the interview I did with Edson Ochoa. Thank you, brother, for coming on the podcast. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, RGV stuff, his history of how he started podcasting and stuff like that. So don't forget to check him out too, down in the valley. Also with the PO, shout out to the PO. You guys doing a great job. Today I was able to hear the interview you guys did with Tab Ramos. It was a really good interview. And where else is he at? Mente Futbolera, they do also great content in Spanish if you're a Dynamo fan or soccer fan overall. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up and see you guys next time.